Hello lovely friends, this is Gina. Welcome to the TheReBookery channel. Today I'm going to do a different sort of video. I don't know that I'm going to actually do any journaling in this video. I'm going to do something that I've never done before, which is pack some supplies to take with me on a trip. So I am not one of those people that can pack up all their supplies and go to like scrapbookers used to do the crops where they'd go and they'd sit with a bunch of people and they'd do their scrapbooking. Oh my gosh, that just gives me so much anxiety. One, I need to think. I can't talk and work at the same time. Two, if you were asking me to pack up my supplies, that is going to take like an entire week for me to figure out what I want to take, and I'll end up and take every single thing that I own. So I have never been a person who takes stuff with them, but I'm gonna do it this time, and that's because my husband and I are taking a trip. We're gonna go to Colorado and we're gonna be gone for 8 days, and this is just gonna be an adults only trip, and it's very low key. We've rented a cabin up in the mountains, and so we're gonna have a lot of just chilling and relaxing time. And I'm gonna have time to do some journaling while I'm there. So I've kind of been thinking about this, and I want to show you and talk to you through and really kind of talk myself through this process of what I'm going to select to take with me. So when I first realized that I was going to take this stuff with me, I wanted a journal. And I wanted a journal that was going to be just for this. I didn't want to use my my planner because I knew there wasn't going to be enough room in it. I wanted something that was just going to be for this trip. I wanted something that was going to be easy to, you know, like journal in. I didn't want something that was overly full, and I wanted something with a lot of flexibility. So after going through a bunch of different options, I opted for a binder. And so I've already done a journal on how I set this binder up, but basically this was a binder called Weekend Crafts. I found it at a thrift shop for like 50 cents. And my original plan was that I was going to use all of the pages that came with this because I don't want to buy anything special. I want to use what's already out there. I can use the pages that are already here, and I can turn this into a vacation journal, even though it's for weekend crafts. And so I still want to do that idea. I still have that plan. I want to use as much of this original binder as possible. I did add some pages, and I did do some prepping of pages, so I added some paint and things like that. Once I got this all set up, I realized that I could put more than just my trip in here. So that's when Days of Summer started. So you've already seen me work on Days of Summer. This was a video. This layout was a video. This layout was a video that I actually posted while I was in Colorado. And now I'm ready to kind of figure out what do I want to do and what do I want to take on my trip. So let me show you what I have so far. Whatever I take, I want to fit in this file right here. Nothing except for what's in here. So if it doesn't fit in here, I'm not going to take it. Things that I've gathered for this trip. So I started digging through my stash because I have a lot of like travel ephemera and maps and things like that. A lot of it is from my great aunt Vincy, because she traveled a lot, and so I inherited a lot of her postcards and travel things, and it just so happened that she had a lot of stuff that had to do with Colorado, which kind of blew my mind. So you'll see some of that in here. So let me start off with pages first. Okay, so with the binder, came this pattern paper. I like this because it's matte, and I can glue this down on the pages that go into the binder. So the pages that go into the binder are nice and thick, they're flexible, but they're also kind of shiny. And so that kind of causes a problem because not all surfaces will adhere really well to glue. So when I go to put stuff on here, I'm going to want to use a tape runner. Now I'm not going to take my big tape runner. It's just going to take up way too much space. So I'm going to take this Elmer's tape runner, and I'm going to take some refills. So if I'm going to glue straight on this because it has a shiny surface, I'm going to use this tape runner. So there's several of these. Then there were these dividers. Now these are like cardstock, and I really like these. When I was setting this up, I went ahead and pulled some pages, and I thought, okay, this will be the easiest if I go ahead and I make a page, just a page to get started for each of the days of my trip. So I already need to make another page because my husband has decided we're going to leave on the 18th rather than the 19th. So I need to go back and make another page. So here's one I made. It was this right here, and I just covered it with the pattern paper. My calendar that I got from Mitts. And so, actually I need to just go ahead and pull this one out because I'm going to use this. So rather than take the whole calendar, because that's going to take up a lot of space, I just went ahead and put one of these down on each one of my pages. So here's the 19th. Here's what I made for the 20th. I just took that paper and I added some paint to it, and then I stitched this on here. The 21st, so some more pattern paper. Here's the calendar page. Here's some paint. Here's the pattern paper. Here's the 22nd. I left this one blank because I thought, okay, what if we went somewhere, and I'm always picking up like brochures and maps and stickers and stuff, and this would just be a perfect surface to put things like that on. So I just went ahead and left this one blank. If I don't like this, I will have this pattern paper with me so I can go ahead and glue or do a tape runner and put this stuff on. And so then on the back I just put some vintage grid paper. Here's the 23rd, and I just I was playing around with inks, and so this was just some splatters of ink that was there. Here's the 24th, and I flipped the calendar up a little bit, so this gives me a little more writing space. I know on this day we're going on a float trip, so I thought I might need some more space here. This is just some vintage ledger paper and some vintage grid paper, and then on the back, and I stitched it. And then here's the 25th. This is the day that we are going to drive home. So there's my pages. Now my thoughts are, I don't have to contain myself to just these pages. So for example, let's say on Wednesday the 19th we do a whole bunch of stuff. I can add in another page. That's the beauty of having this as a binder. I can add in another page. So these were just to get me started. This page right here I made out of a school transparency. It was a second grade transparency for science about habitats. And so I had an old postcard of Denver, and so I sewed it here, folded this over, it becomes a pocket, and I thought this would be a good beginning page. Okay, and now I have a bunch of extra pages that I've made that I can use these pages also, and I don't have to use them. So they've already been prepped, and this has got a postcard on it as a pocket. This is one about time zones. And so I honestly think I have enough pages, so maybe I don't even need to take those extra pages. So I went through my great Aunt Vincie's ephemera, and yeah, I found a ton of stuff. So she collected postcards wherever she went. And so I have a lot of her old postcards, and it just so happens I have this postcard book about Canyon City, Colorado. Now, I don't know that we're going to Canyon City. I honestly think we are not, because we're not going to go that far over. But it's pretty cool to use this because it's about Colorado, and it's just awesome to be able to include this. This is one of those times where it's just you're just matching it up and using things to help tell the story. And so even though maybe I don't go see this right here, the Royal Gorge, I could still include it. I mean, it would be just like decoration or ephemera, it would be just like scrapbooking supplies. The only thing is, it's the real deal. So I want to incorporate her postcards somehow. So I'm going to definitely take those. I found a golden book encyclopedia, and there was a few sets I had, and it was actually an atlas encyclopedia. And so there were different regions of the United States. There happened to be one on the West, and so what I did was I just pulled out the places or the pages that had to do with Colorado. And so I'm going to use these. I don't know how I'm going to use them. Again, I'm just going to use this to help tell the story, and it may be things that I actually see or actually do, or it may just be things that are part of the background. So I'm going to definitely take these pages, and I think this was from the 1980s, I believe. I pulled some maps. I've got a map of Kansas. This is the other part of the map of Kansas, because that's what we're going to spend one entire day doing, is driving through Kansas. Oh, here's more pages from that Encyclopedia Atlas book. So that would be a cool picture to cut out, even that. This is a map of, there's more Kansas. Here's some Colorado stuff. So again, this would be great to put on a page, or actually just poke holes in them and make it a page. Which reminds me, I'm going to take this. This is my hole puncher. So I'm going to take this hole puncher so that if I just do decide, let's say I pick up a brochure or something, and I don't want to actually glue it on a page, I can just poke holes in it and I can put it inside the rings. So we're going to take this. This is a map of, let's see, it's from my Aunt Vincy again. Is this Paris? Is this Rome? I can't remember because I cut it and I cut the title. Oh, Rome. Okay, so this was a map of Rome. And even though I'm not going to Rome, I thought this would be really cool to use as background paper, or paper to put photos and stuff on, or even cooler, I'm not taking any alphabets, and I was thinking like no alphabet stickers. So if I want to cut a title out, I could actually use this to cut the title out. Like if I wanted to spell Colorado, I could cut out C-O-L-O-R-A-D-O, and this would just be kind of cool. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to use dictionary pages. And so here are some dictionary pages and pieces of dictionary pages. This was not a complete dictionary. Like, there are a lot of pages missing. I got it at a thrift store, but it's really cute and I love the illustrations. And so I'm going to take this. I need some papers in case I don't like, like this. Let's say I don't like this. Then I can glue on, I'm just going to take some graph paper. Here's some, this is some old ledger paper. Now, if in my videos, probably 2 or 3 videos ago, I showed you my paper stash of papers that I like to use in my journals. So this is some ledger paper, and you might think, oh, this would be, awesome to use in your journals as paper for your journal. While it is beautiful, I would not use this as paper in a journal because it is far too thin. See how easily it tears? And if I were to fold this, it's going to go ahead and be very brittle right here on the fold, and you'll only get a couple of times of it opening and closing before it actually will fall apart. So ledger paper, you have to be very careful with. If it's newer ledger paper, then by all means you can use it in your journals, but if it is older ledger paper, it's actually best left to be used as like collage paper or background paper. So I'm going to take this. Oh, this is the end paper that came from that ledger book. Put this over here. What is this? This is just some old book paper. Okay, well, it's little kids looking at fish and insects, so I don't know. It was here, so I'll take it. This was the end paper from that that almanac or that atlas that I was telling you guys about that I pulled the book pages from. I could take it. It's got Kansas on it. It makes kind of a little cool fold out, something unexpected. I'll just throw that in. This was a piece of wrapping paper that a sweet viewer sent me, and I just thought it was kind of cute, and I don't know, just threw it in here. Here are some more postcards from my Aunt Vincy. Again, these may or may not be places that I go to, but they're vintage postcards, and I think that just makes the journal that much more authentic and unique. And then the last thing, when I was cleaning out all of my book pages and stuff, I found this. This came from a reading book. It was the only page left in the book, and I don't know, there's something about it. The mountains, the clouds, the poem about weather. I'm taking this with me. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see how I use it. So those are the papers I'm going to take. I'm going to take some labels. Now these label stickers, they're old. I found them at a thrift shop. I have a whole roll of them. I've already been using them in the journal, so it's already been established. This is something that you'll see in this journal. I actually think I need to take more than what I have, so I'll probably cut some more, and I'll take those. I'm going to throw in just some random string that I have on my desk. Now, everything was fine until I went to the thrift store the other day. So I have a little thrift store in my town, and it doesn't have a lot. It's a really, really small thrift store, but every once in a while I'll go in there and they have some really cool things. And this was in the book section, and I think this was like a dime. So this is the Colorado Adventure Guide. I think it's a 1975. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to use this as photographs and ephemera. And even though this isn't me floating down a river, this would be a great section to cut out and put on the page of when we go floating. And I don't know, I like all the images. I might cut it, like if we go someplace, I might cut out the text to tell about that place, and it just makes the journal that much more authentic and unique. So I'm gonna take this. So those are the papers that I plan on taking. Now let's talk about what I'm gonna use for the actual journaling. When I knew we were gonna take this trip, I got all excited, and I had these little tubes of paint, and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna put them in this little makeup bag, and I'm gonna take these tubes of paint. And then I got to thinking, and I thought, why in the world would I want to take paint on a trip that's gonna be messy? I don't paint that often anyway, and while it seems cute and cool, I just don't think it's practical. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swap out the paint and put stuff in here that I think is practical. Okay, so my thinking is that anything I take has to fit in here. So I already know I'm gonna take my hole punch. I'm gonna take a tape runner. I am gonna take a bottle of glue. I'm gonna take a roll of masking tape, take an eraser, some washi tape. I'm gonna take 2 refills for the tape runner, but I'm gonna tear all this excess cardboard off. And I think I'll just put it down here in the bottom. Go. Scissors, a glue stick, a pencil, my China marker, a Sharpie, a highlighter, a black marker that I know I'll be able to write on my pictures with that slick surface, a paint pen, just a couple Sharpies, some markers, and looks like I stuck a gel pen in there. And that is all I'm taking. I may throw in a ballpoint pen, just a regular ballpoint pen. I have to find my ballpoint pens first, but I may throw in a ballpoint pen just because I love writing with ballpoint pens. I am going to take my printer. So this is my printer. It is an Epson PictureMate. It is fairly small. I don't think they make them anymore. In order to have this, I need to take one of these PictureMate print packs, and it has a cartridge in it that's already in the printer, and then it'll also have some paper. I will have to have a thumb drive so I can convert my pictures from my laptop to this printer, and I'll need the electrical cord. The reason why I'm going to do this is because I have to take my laptop anyway. So if I'm going to take my laptop, I might as well just take this printer. And if I have time, I could print my pictures off as I go on my trip. And maybe if I have time, I could actually do some journaling and stuff while I am on my trip. Now, I don't know if this is going to work. I know when we took our last really big trip, which was to Yellowstone, I had no time to do this. Of course, my kids were really little back then. And what I did have to do was my camera got full because this was before iPhones. And so I would have to find like a Walgreens or something and download all of my pictures. And I know I did that twice while we were in Yellowstone, and it was like 600 pictures each time just because my camera kept getting full and my disk kept getting full. And then when I got home, I had to print all those pictures out, and it was overwhelming, and it just took forever for me to get through those pictures and to document. I finally did, and I loved the way I documented Yellowstone, but it was just kind of overwhelming. So what I would like to do is to be able to, if we go for a hike, come home, take my pictures, put them from my camera onto my laptop, and then from my laptop onto my thumb drive, put them in here, print them out, and then just cut them, glue them, stick them down on a piece of paper, and just put, you know, we went for a hike, and this is where we went, this is what we did, and yada, 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 I'm done, and I move on to the next page. So if I take this, I need to take this paper trimmer because this is the best way to cut my photos. So if I took that, my printer, my binder, and that file, that would be all I'm going to take. And yeah, to me, that's pretty good to be able to get it to condense down to just that small amount of stuff. I could put that in a small duffel bag. I'm pretty proud of myself. Now, could I possibly go on this trip and not even touch this stuff? Absolutely. That is totally a possibility. If so, I may delete this video and not even show it to you guys. Could I go on this trip and do a little bit? Maybe. Could I go on this trip and do a whole bunch? Maybe. We'll just have to see. I have no idea. I've never done this before. I've never journaled while I've been traveling. What got me inspired is a YouTube channel called WildWeRoam. And they live in a van, and she has been journaling certain places that they visit. And I loved the way she just did it with basic supplies and just really kept it about, here's what we did, here's the story, here's the authentic ephemera and materials that I can use to support that story, and then she moves on. So I will link her channel down below. And yeah, I would like to be able to do something similar. I have a feeling I won't because I always go overboard, but we'll just see what happens. Okay, my friends, so this is video 1 of my traveling vacation journal. We'll see what happens, and look for me to show you some shots of things I did while in Colorado and some of the pages that I have journaled, and talk to you a little bit more about how this process worked in video number 2. I hope you are healthy. I hope you are happy. I hope you do something creative today, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.